John Bartell on the Backroads yet again, this time taking us on a carriage ride across a beautiful Bavarian town of Leavenworth in western Washington.
There's a place in the Cascades of Washington that looks, feels, and sounds like the Swiss Alps. That place is called Leavenworth, a Bavarian-themed town with a Pacific Northwest hospitality.
So what's that little door at the top up there?
I'm glad you asked about that. That's actually where our glockenspiel is. Does your hometown have a glockenspiel?
I have no idea what a glockenspiel is.
Okay.
If you're wondering what a glockenspiel is and why this little Washington mountain town is covered in Bavarian facade, hitch a ride with the Leavenworth Carriage Company and talk with historian Ann Peavy.
Were these people Bavarian or I mean, I guess are we
There was nothing Bavarian about them, believe it or not. They were just, homesteaders.
Ann says in the late 1800s, Leavenworth was a major locomotive hub, moving cargo up and over the mountains. But when the railroad relocated in the 1920s, so did many of the people.
So Leavenworth's population went from close to 5,000 people in the early 1920s down to about 900 people.
For decades, Leavenworth struggled and many businesses closed. But then in the 1950s, two entrepreneurs, Bob Rogers and Ted Price, came up with an idea.
Bob Rogers, part of that partnership, he saw the area as having a backdrop that reminded him of Bavaria when he was there in World War II.
Bob and Ted started with a Bavarian-style restaurant and eventually talked the entire town into a major remodel. Storefronts added Tudor-style trim, colorful murals, and a giant maypole.
Starting from the bottom and working its way up, you can see a little bit of this little town's history from the railroad and the timber industry all the way to the change to turn into a Bavarian village toward the top.
To this day, Leavenworth residents like Janet Mano still embrace the Bavarian facade and share the adopted culture with visitors.
And it's the herdsman's horn. So in the mid-1700s, in fact, there was a decree in Switzerland that every herdsman should play the Alp horn because it increased milk production. Good for the motherland.
While in Leavenworth, it's also worth stopping by the Nutcracker Museum to see the world's largest collection of nutcrackers. It's also worth visiting the Leavenworth Reindeer Farm to feed Santa's helpers. Oh, and I almost forgot. At the end of the tour, Ann told me what a glockenspiel is.
Glockenspiel. That's a German word for a specific type of a clock that's very common in Germany. At the top of each hour, the clock chimes, the doors open, and wooden figurines come out and dance to recorded accordion music.
Riding the streets of Leavenworth, I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the Backroads.